So today we're going to solve some of the questions or the most questions that were asked by the students for the first quiz. We had two quizzes. This is quiz number one. I'm going to read the question, knowing that you'll be having a soft copy of the questions with the answers, so you can follow with this video. So the first question was, which of the following equations describe a line with an x-intercept of 3? So here we're talking about x-intercept. Okay, we had three options. The first one was x. The first one was x plus y equals -3. The other one was x minus y equals -3. And the last one was x equals 3. We were asked about an x-intercept of 3, which means it's the third answer, which is x equals 3, because if you graph this, you will get this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. X equals 3 represents a vertical line that is parallel to the y-axis and crosses number 3 on the x-axis. That's why it has an x-intercept of 3. The second question was, what is the slope of the line that contains the points? Okay, so this line contains the points 1, -1, and -2 and 8. The question was, what is the slope of this line? We already said that the slope is the difference in y over the difference in x. Now the only thing we need to do is we need to subtract the y's and put them in the numerator, and subtract the x's and put them in the denominator. The y coordinates in these points are 8 and -1, so we're going to put 8 minus -1, minus 1, sorry, or -1. Then we have here the x, which is -2 minus 1, which gives us, here we have 9 over -3, which gives us an answer of -3. Now this is the answer, which was the first option. We had three options in here. They were -3, -73, and -13. This is the correct answer. Okay, the next question was, which is the graph of this equation, which is 2x plus y equals 4? And I asked you to show your work. Showing your work means, since we're talking about linear equations, you have to show the slope and the y-intercept to show me that you actually understand and know why you picked this graph. Okay, let's see first the equation. The equation was 2x plus y, okay, equals 4. The first thing we need to do here is to change it into a slope intercept form, because this is how you can know if your graph is correct or which graph to pick. First, you just need to keep or leave the y in one side and the rest of the variables and constants in the other side. So the x with its coefficient is going to be translated into the other side with in a reversed sign or with the opposite sign. So it's going to be y equals to -2x plus 4, because the 4 is still there. We did not change the 4 from its place. It's still the same side, so it still has the positive sign. The only thing that has a negative sign or an opposite sign is the 2, which is the coefficient of x, which was moved. Now, this is the slope-intercept form. This is our slope, and this is our intercept. Using this, first of all, because of the sign of the x coefficient, we know that our slope is negative, which means the graph has to look this way. Okay, it's not this way. So that means it's not the second option, because the second option has a graph that looks like this. Now, the first option and the third options are both with a negative slope. There is something else that shows us which one to pick, which is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 4, so we're going to look where this line crosses the y-axis. If it crosses the y-axis at 4, then this is the line that we're looking for. So our answer is option number 3 in the paper in front of you. Okay, now the next question was, it was a graph. Okay, this graph here has a 30, okay, 90, and 150 here, and here we had the first unit, which here was 1, the unit after was 2, the unit after was 3, the unit after was 4, until 6. Okay, then this is the x, this is the y. The graph looked like this, which was about 45 degrees. Okay, and the question was, I'm going to read the question. It was, the graph below shows the relationship between the distance a car is driven and the number of gallons of gas used. Now write an equation to represent the relationship. Now we already know the relationship, which is between a car moving, or a car that was driven, and the gallons used, the gallons of gas, of course, used. Now we had 3 options. The first one was y equals negative 30x plus 30. The second option was y equals 30x. Then we had a third option, which was y equals 1 over 30x. We had 3 different options. Now, how to know which option to follow? First of all, we need to make sure that they all are in the same form, which is the slope-intercept form. They are all in the slope-intercept form, so they are ready to be compared. Now, the first one has a slope of negative 30 and a y-intercept of 30. Now here we can exclude this option here, because obviously, obviously this is incorrect. This is wrong. Why it's wrong? Because here it's very clear that this line does not cross any point in the x or the y, but only the 0 point in here. So our y-intercept is 0. So it's either this one or this one. Now we're going to look at the slope. What is the slope here? Look, in the y, if we took only one unit in both sides, in the y we only have, look at this, this is the distance that we're talking about. In the y it moved 30, so in the numerator we have 30 over the denominator, which is the x. In the x-axis, if it moved only one unit up, one unit down, one unit up represented 30 gallons, one unit to the right represented 1. So it's going to be 30 over 1, which means it's 30, which is this one. So it's the second option. Okay, here again. Again, the question says, a landscaping company charges customers a one-time fee, okay, of $35 and an hourly rate of $10 for 1 hour of service. Now, which equation represents the total charge T for each hours of landscaping? Now, first of all, we need to focus on some of these words because they mean something. Here, when they talk about a rate, that means it's a slope. Correct. So let's see how this works. Now, we already said that the rate is $10 and the charge, the fixed charge is 35. So it's going to be T equals to $10, which is multiplied by the number of hours, which is called H, plus the fixed amount of money paid, which is $35, which was option number 2. Next question. It was for f of x equals 33x plus 5 plus x. Okay, so here we had two equations to compare here. The first one was f of x equals 33x plus 5 plus x, and the next one was g of x, that is equal to 30x minus 7 plus 4x. Now the tricky part here is just to combine the alike terms together, which are the 33x and x in here. So this becomes 34x plus 5. And the alike terms here are also the x coefficients, which become 34x minus 7. We can clearly see here that the y-intercepts here are different, but what is the thing that we can compare, or we can see that are the same in here? The things are the same. Okay, before I say this, let's read the options that was included in the quiz. The first option was f of x and g of x have the same y-intercept. This is incorrect because they don't have the same y-intercept. The second one is f of x and g of x have the same slope. Correct. This is the second option. The third option was the graph of f of x is steeper than the graph of g of x. It's another way to say that they have different slopes, which is incorrect. So the correct answer is the second option. The last question was a taxi cab charges a flat fee of 5.5 plus 1.5 per mile. So we already know that the 5.5 here is the fixed amount, okay, plus 1.5 per mile. So for every 1 mile, he pays 1.5. Okay. Now another cab company charged the same flat fee and 0.5 more per mile. Which equation represents the total cost of a cab ride that is m mile long with this company? So here we said that the first cab represents the taxi cab charges a flat fee of 5.5, that's the fixed amount, plus $1.5 per mile, so we're going to call it M. Okay, now the other cab, another cab company charges the same flat fee and the same flat fee, so this is the same one, which is 5.5 plus 0.5 mile. So it says, what is the equation that we can use for both of the companies? For the total cost of the cab ride along with this company, we're going to say because here they have the same amount of the fixed number, we're going to write it the same. So we're going to write C equals, which is the cap, 5.5. It's always written here because it represents the y-intercept for us. And here we have the 1.5 and the 0.5 that are paid per hour. So together they give us 2m. So this is the correct option to pick, which was the first option. Okay. If you have any questions about this quiz, please send me your questions.